Sa magandang hapon sa inyo mga kamamo. Actually, inagangan natin yung pasok para makagawa tayo ng Actually, bago lang tong balita na to about dun sa immigration natin, about dun sa nakaraang inilathala ni Justin Trudeau. Meron tayong nakuwang balita about dun sa Omni News. Actually, hindi ko pa pinapanood yung video. Isasabay ko lang na habang nanonood ako ng video ngayon kasama nyo is gagawa tayo ng reaction video. So ang kasi nito mga kamamo is in-interview ni Paula Sarasa ng Omni News si Canadian Immigration Minister Marc Miller. Yan mga kamamo. So ngayon sabay-sabay natin siyang panoorin, pero bago natin i-play yung video, actually nakikinit ako na mga kamamo. Sigurado yung mga itatanong na dito ni Paula Sarasa kay Marc Miller sa nakikita ko is usually yung mga tanong ng mga tao na kaya lang naman binago daw yung sistema ngayon sa Canada dahil halalan daw. Marami kasing ganung haka-haka. Pero syempre ngayon mapapakinggan natin mismo sa bibig ni Marc Miller, i-explain niya lahat yung mga bagay-bagay na bakit naging ganito na yung policy, bakit kailangan magigpit, bakit kailangan ng merong time frame na dumarating ngayon na within 3 years kailangan ganito yung pamamalakad nila, bakit kailangan magbawas, bakit kailangan hindi na magpapasok ng mga bagong immigrant dito sa Canada. So lahat yan sasagutin ni Marc Miller. So ngayon mga kamama, mapapakinggan natin lahat ng mga tanong na ang akala natin yun sa mga sinasabi ko, feeling ko yun yung mga itatanong, pero ito sama-sama tayo mga kamama, pakinggan natin to. So ayan, simulan na natin.
Pas po Webes ang bagong immigration levels plan sa Canada kung saan babawasan ang mga immigrant na tatanggapin sa bansa. Kasama po natin si Immigration Minister Marc Miller para pag-usapan ang plano ng federal government. Minister Marc Miller, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Paula.
Right off the bat, many of us anticipated that the levels plan will be announced on November 1st, but it was announced a day after the Prime Minister met with his caucus. Is there a relation to the timing?
No, none at all. I mean, I think we were planning to announce it anyway. We usually announce it. I have to legally announce it by November 1st.
And I guess because of that, many think that was this a tactic to take the focus away from the trouble that the Prime Minister is facing with his own party?
No, not at all. I mean, these plans, unless the people at the party were planning to do it around our levels plan, but it doesn't matter. You know, these things are things people say, but they don't make sense, and it's stuff that's we've been working on for months. This is a very serious plan that is a very reasonable plan for Canadians in serving immigrants well as they come to this country in the volumes that we can accept. This is a significant reduction this year, and so the Prime Minister obviously wanted to make sure that he was being responsible and taking responsibility for announcing it himself alongside me, and I think that was the right thing to do.
Having mentioned that there have been significant changes to the levels plan this year for the next 3 years, the Canadian Federation of Independent Business is actually sounding the alarm over the possible significant impact this has on the economy, including business closures, increased workforce gaps, shorter shifts. So the hospitality, tourism, and service sectors will be among the hardest hit. What can you say about this?
I won't sweep under the carpet some of the challenges that businesses that have become over-reliant on foreign workers will face. I think we have to take a good look at the domestic labor market here that is robust and the availability of people to work that is there, and reorient our efforts. Not everything in this country can be solved by bringing in people from other countries, but we do obviously acknowledge the power of immigration, the importance of immigration as part of our social fabric and as an important aspect of the economy that has kept us, in fact, from going into a recession coming out of COVID.
Another business group, Minister, the Canadian Chamber of Commerce, is also very critical of the immigration announcement. They are calling the significant reduction, quote, disappointing for business across the country that in recent months have had to deal with abrupt and constant changes to immigration policy, end quote. So they go to say that we can do better. How will this abrupt policy change help the economy?
Well, I think they can do better as well, and this is not a criticism of their position, but I think we have to realize that we have, as a country, become over-reliant and I think addicted to temporary foreign work and temporary workers generally. Temporary means something. It doesn't mean a guarantee of permanency, but for a lot of people in that group, they may be qualified and have all the skills to become permanent residents. In the volumes that we were welcoming people, there just simply was not space to properly deal with that, and that's unfair to those same people.
I guess many are wondering how the government weigh in the consequences that this has to the economy. If you can expand on that.
The net result of this plan will be an increased GDP per capita, which is important. We have been criticized as a country of having lower GDP per capita. There's a whole discussion to be had on that, about fairness, about the fact that our workforce is younger, so naturally GDP per capita is a bit lower. But a big discussion as well on innovation.
Minister, Omni is known for covering immigration stories that are really important for our communities. We meet a lot of people who dream of being permanent residents here in Canada, and the policy change has a real life impact to these people's lives. Many of them have sold their lands, their farms, their properties just to send their relatives or even themselves to Canada. And with this change, what do you say to those people? How will you explain these changes to these people?
I certainly feel for them. People do put a lot of their hopes and dreams in becoming Canadian. It is true also that being Canadian, becoming a permanent resident is very valuable, and not everyone can be that. That is just the reality. We don't live in a utopia. Those same communities are some of the ones telling me to taper back on immigration because they are seeing volumes that they see in their own communities because they are impacted by them as unsustainable. We need to get it right, and I think this plan does get it right.
After their visas are expired, they will have to leave the country. So will we be seeing a lot more, thousands of people getting deported?
Temporary does mean temporary. It doesn't mean a guarantee towards permanent residency. When people have a visa that expires, they have a choice. And that choice is to take the right decision and leave the country or transition into permanent residency or face a situation of irregularity and illegality. We are a country of the rule of law. Due process is very important to Canadians, but ultimately sometimes we do have to deport people that refuse to leave, and that's highly unfortunate, but that's part of a rigorous system that makes Canada what we are.
Minister, we also noticed that in the new levels plan, the targets for 2025 to 2027 in the PNP or Provincial Nominee Program is set to 55,000. Will this add to staff shortages in specific sectors and provinces? Given that, PNP helps with labor.
Provinces have constantly come to me and asked me for more and more people to bring in, but with all the power they want without taking the responsibility. If you compare apples to apples, whether our high-skilled federal program works better than the provincial nominee program, it does based on the points. That's provable. The PNP program is relatively new. It's expanded significantly. I don't think provinces have necessarily taken the responsibility building the infrastructure, building the houses, making sure the healthcare system is robust, and really targeted it to what they said they needed from us in the first place.
And finally, Minister, one of the reasons Liberals were elected was because of your party's pro-immigration platform. But with these changes, what will be the impact if an election was to be held today?
I'm not going to speculate. I didn't do this for electoral reasons. I did this because it made sense. We've been working on it for a year. I think it'll show to Canadians that we're responsible about immigration, that we have a controlled migration plan going forward for the next 3 years, and Canadians can frankly discuss and decide for themselves. What they will be able to see is a plan that we've put out there that makes sense. They haven't seen it from any other party, and I think that is something that is important to realize.
Right. Thank you so much, Minister. Thank you again for your time.
Appreciate it.
Mga kamamaw, narinig nyo na. So ang inaano talaga nila is wala ko na talaga itatanong talaga yung kasi syempre naano naman natin katulad yan ng sinabi ni Miss Paula Sarasa about dun sa yung mga Pilipino. Ano yung masasabi mo nga dun sa yung ibang mga Pilipino na nagpupunta dito is like parang nagsanlaan na ng lupa, binenta na yung kung ano-ano man para makapagdala ng kamag-anak dito, madala nila yung sarili nila dito sa Canada na magkaroon sila ng magandang kinabukasan, yung kumbaga yung mga nangangarap. So yun, nabanggit talaga na talagang kumbaga talagang kailangan lang talaga siguro ng Canada ngayon na paghigpitan ng konti yung ano dun sa immigration, para mahirap din kasi yung hindi nila ma-provide o mabigyan ng magandang tsansa o magandang pwesto ng mga tao dito na darating, na makakarating nga dito, pagbibigyan nila, pero hindi naman magkakaroon ng magandang trabaho, hindi naman magkakaroon ng papel. So ibig sabihin na parang ano na lang din, advantage na lang din to sa mga tao na balak pumunta dito, na kumbaga wrong timing. Kung pipilitin yung pumunta kayo dito mga kamamaw, is masasayang lang yung effort nyo, masasayang yung mga ginastos nyo. So parang ang dating maghintay na lang talaga kayo na kung sakaling darating tayo within after 3 years, about dun sa paghihigpit nila na ima-maximize nila yung, lalo ni sa mga permanent resident, na nagbawas sila ng halos 14% ng percentage ng mape-permanent residency within from now until 3 years ongoing. So ano na lang niya na dito, yung bang na lang na ano niyo, sundin niyo, hintayin na lang niyo na lang yung ngayon yung hindi man tamang pagkakataon ngayon, maybe after 3 years i-try nyo, baka nagbago na din yung sistema. Tsaka narinig nyo pa yung isang sinabi niya na yung about sa election, hindi naman porke sa parang election is parang ganito yung ginawa niya, hindi naman sa ganun, parang ano talaga niya, kumbaga nagkataon na tumapat na election lang. Yung mga tamang ano ba, syempre hindi mo matatanggalin talaga sa mga tao yung mga haka-haka, yung mga sariling opinion ba tinatawag, na syempre alam naman natin ang mga tao is matatalino, lalo lang sa mga ganyang questionable na bagay, na para may masilip ba o may mapansin o napansin nila dun sa mga ganyang mga pangyayari. May mga tanong lagi may mga magugulat ka, may mga ganyang tanong o mga ganyang kaisipan ng bawat isang tao o bawat tao nagbibigay ng opinion na about sa mga nangyayari ngayon, lalo na kung ikaw yung nakapwesto sa position ngayon, lalo yun yung mga ibabato sa yung yun yung mga ibabato sa for sure. So ngayon na-explain na ni Marc Miller lahat. So sana naliwanagan tayo. Tsaka syempre sa mga susunod na or mga updated news na darating, lagi kong ipapakita dito sa YouTube channel natin para ma-share ko sa inyo at magkaroon kayo ng idea kung ano-ano ba ang mga nangyayari dito sa Canada. So mga kamamo, sana na-enjoy nitong kaprasong video natin, dahil itong video ito is napaka-fresh, kaya ginawa ko agad tong video na to para ma-share ko sa inyo mga kamamo. So huwag nyo kakalimutang mag-like, share, subscribe sa ating YouTube channel. Maraming salamat mga kamamo.